let's talk about woke corporations.
Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
gosh.
I would like to warn you,
If
you have young children, I'm gonna ask everybody to just try and use as much self-censorship and innuendo to convey accurately what these ideas are. And this is because it is adult content. We will not be getting into explicitly, but it's a major news story from Fox News. Postmates slammed over bottom-friendly Pride Month menu. The Postmates bottom-friendly menu drew a great deal of criticism on social media from users who criticized the company's Pride Month move. Let me just simplify this for you. Postmates made a commercial for what's called a bottom menu. How do I describe this without crossing into PG-13 or R-rated territory?
We can't even be PG-13 because this is definitely a PG-13
This is an X-rated story.
Yeah, NC-17.
What this means is that Postmates made a video that was explaining how to engage in adult gay activities and was providing the service for it, and then went on to explain why they were proud to do it. And they were, they said that they're tired of sex ed being heterosexual or whatever. And my attitude was just like, I don't see commercials from like Dole or Del Monte about pineapples and like couples and why that's beneficial or anything like that. We don't have these commercials.
That's a fair point.
So this commercial was like a bit over the top, but this is the intent. So I don't think the story here necessarily is the Pride Month thing. The story I see here is we have gotten to the point where the attempts to shock the public to get attention have become so drastic and desperate, they're actually just collapsing, decaying, and falling apart. It used to be shocking content was saying a naughty word or something, and you go, oh, I can't believe they would say that. Now it's...
Or remember when it was shocking to see a man's butt on TV? It was like,
NYPD Blue.
Scandal. Right. It was, what was it?
Dennis
Sipkowitz
Franz.
or
Yeah.
whatever?
Detective Sipowicz.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a big scandal.
Like in the late
was a
90s, they
big
showed his
scandal. It
butt
was a
on
whole
ABC
issue.
TV or something. Yeah.
I remember
Because
when
it also wasn't Jimmy Smits. It was like, really?
Yeah.
Like, come on, he's the
Sipowicz.
cute one. Yeah.
Come on, man.
you couldn't swear on TV.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now it's just...
It's all kinds of crazy stuff.
So what I see is this ad, it was... I mean, this is like X-rated stuff they're talking about. It's kind of crazy.
I was shocked when you showed me this. I hadn't been online much today, and
that was enough.
I took a look at this, and I was just like, oh my goodness.
They're basically
it's
explaining
really
like...
insane.
Can you pull up the ad?
Yeah, let's.
No, I can't.
You can't.
One of the
No,
fruits
no,
has...
We can't show it.
Of course I can't show it.
It
shows like...
fruit.
peaches
dressed
walking around.
in
A peach and an eggplant.
Fetish wear.
Yeah.
But there's like...
Right, there's like kink stuff in there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
yeah.
gross
So-
and weird.
They did have one recently too, where it was like two buns that were both the top
Oh,
bun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Burger King.
Yeah,
Burger
that was
King, yeah.
that was the
They're
tame
top
version
and
of
bottom
this.
burger.
They're topping
Yeah.
Burger King, in fact.
Yeah, so to me, this is more of the contagion of social media. You have to shock. You have to make everyone engage with what you're saying. And it doesn't matter if it's in the form of a ratio and the quote tweets or if it's people being positive about it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, negative attention is often more engaging for people than positive attention because it's just kind of how we're wired.
Yeah, people are more likely to comment if they have something negative to
Right.
say rather than something positive to say.
People
I've got this...
wanna be
It's
mad.
a commercial explaining the negative ramifications of a bad diet while two dudes do it. That's
there
what
you
it's
go.
about.
Oh,
That's
gross.
pretty
Yeah.
much it. Yeah.
Right.
That's
And
the
it's like,
summary.
here's what you need to eat and here's why you need to eat it. And I'm like, wow, I never thought I'd see that.
I mean, what's
It'd be cool if they
going
were
on?
promoting fasting. But good
Well,
luck
as a
with food
gay
company
man
doing
here,
it.
can I
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
what do
share
you
my thoughts? I find this offensive not because of traditional or religious values, but the fact that once upon a time, much of the effort that helped really to mainstream and normalize tolerance for gay and lesbian people was the fact of showing that we are just like you. And now these advertisement campaigns in recent years and political campaigns and social campaigns during Pride are about focusing on like sex and explicitly sex. And that was what originally made a lot of people uncomfortable around gay or lesbian people. They always thought about the sex and the fetish and all that. And then the fact, that this particular advertising campaign is focusing on anal sex and using references to fetish gear to talk about what's that have to do
Food
with
delivery.
Pride.
Yeah.
No.
Or food delivery. Exactly.
So someone responded to their tweet and they said, if you are not literally helping us have sex, are you really an ally? And Postmates said, exactly. and that's blah, blah, blah. And they're like, that's what we want to do. And I'm like, I didn't realize my food delivery service was required to help me have sex. You know
Well,
what
the
I mean?
other thing too is in a lot of ways, pride has morphed into something of just being proud of your sex kinks, right?
Pride cometh before the fall.
We've seen that. Like the Washington Post ran a whole piece about why it's really important to take your kids to Pride so that they can see kink.
Right.
Fatherly recently ran a piece talking about how it's really important to take your kids to Pride and to explain to them what kink is. There's all of these pushes from people advocating for more sex ed, saying that you have to talk about kink as part of sex ed. But they're not talking about healthy relationships. They're not talking about love. They're not talking about, goals for successful partnership or any of that. It's just all about like, this is how you get off, and getting off is the main point of life.
They'll explain it as love to encounter because it's erotic love. Eros is a type of
It's a
love.
Mott and Bailey.
I think that a sect of humanity in the last 15 years has become extremely desensitized to sex, like big time. Kids that saw porn when they were 9, 10 years ago are 19 now, and they're kind of leading the charge. They're probably CEO Postmates. And then there's a grand
19-year-old
yeah,
CEO.
maybe not, but
Like
soon.
that.
And there's a grand percentage of us or people that are not desensitized to it and are like freaked out and are freaking out. And those people that are desensitized are having fun with it. They see that it's getting a reaction, that other people can't take it. The Puritans, oh my God. And so they're just pushing it, and because like, you can't stop me.
Well,
I'm
and
a
they're pushing
United
it-
States citizen.
And they're pushing it on kids in order to justify their adult fetishes.
I think that we should use law enforcement for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, some people are trying.
Because like if you did that in a
Yeah.
park to a
DeSantis
kid,
is trying.
Yeah.
You had in Texas, they were working on trying to, it's similar but different, trying to criminalize the medical gender transition of minors.
it's weird because like if there's a community that wants to do weird sex stuff, you kind of just let them do their weird sex stuff. But then
Well,
we have
this is the live and let live thing. This is kind of, to a certain extent, I wonder, I'm just throwing this out there. Is it possible that this is how we got here?
for me it is. I've had hands off for 20 years. I've been like, do whatever you want.
Do whatever. I've always said that too. Like whatever anybody wants to do, that's up to them. But perhaps yes, do whatever you want to do. That's up to you. But maybe it makes sense to discuss the perils of hedonism. Maybe it makes sense to discuss the difficulties that can arise from using your body as a sex toy.
We have no
Yeah.
choice at this point.
And the psychological effects of
Because
watching
that is
online
all
adult
real.
content.
This is all very
Yeah.
real.
Right.
And it contributes to the meaninglessness of our society, and it contributes to the nihilism that is so much more easily grasped than,
But- yeah. But-
any of the stuff that actually is fulfilling.
But not only that, but to the destruction of future relationships. Because if people are desensitized and they're on the internet and their parents just give them a computer or a phone and then they're able to be in their own room by themselves, they go on websites that rewire their brains to prevent them from having healthy relationships as adults. So this is, in my opinion, a larger plot of the depopulation agenda. This is one way to prevent people from having children, from having healthy relationships. Because if we really did care about, this stuff, we would be talking about healthy relationships, boundaries, way to communicate your wants and needs, ways to have a healthy relationship, ways to coexist with another human being by being able to respect them as another human being and not see them as an object. So that would be something that, of course, we could have a conversation on, but we don't. All we have is kink. All we have is fetish. All we have is this weird stuff that you could do because it's cool and trendy, and this corporation is telling you to do this. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid.
I think you're right that a lot of people do. This is a good opportunity and example of us humanizing people that we may not agree with, and kids watch this show, which is a good thing.
I have a working theory that they are choosing the worst parts about these lifestyles to make, for example, gay men look terrible. I think that they're actively taking steps to
It does make us look terrible.
It does. It looks terrible.
And nobody wants to talk about the dark parallel that runs with this super encouragement of sexual promiscuity is the disproportionate rates of HIV and STI infections and
Monkeypox.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the story right now.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're going to talk about the health effects that you need to consider when you're living a high-risk lifestyle, you should talk about all of them. You should talk about the problems that come with promiscuity. You should talk about the problems that come along with being in really intensely dysfunctional relationships, but they're not. They're just trying to make a splash, and it's so shallow and short-lived. And I think it's seriously throwing our culture off balance. Or maybe
also,
it's just
we've also like so clearly destroyed families.
Yeah.
You know, I've been giving this a lot of thought, just personally about like my own life and my family history and everything. My grandparents on both sides, on my mom's and dad's sides, were both divorced in the 70s.
Yeah. My
My parents got divorced. I think they got divorced shortly after both their parents got divorced. You know, they got divorced. My dad got divorced twice after that. My mom got divorced again after that. You know, my husband and I split up. Like, what is this? Like, this is generations at this point of people who cannot maintain a family structure. You know, and everybody, you ask them, everybody's got a really good reason. You know, everyone's got great reasons why they couldn't maintain their marriages, why they couldn't maintain their families. But literally every single one is messed up. And then I look at
Let's pull up this story right
and
here.
then I
real
look
quick.
at my son and I'm like, is he going to be able to maintain a marriage? Like how? You know?
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.